This will be what perfect timing feels like.
We're all familiar with Hi-Fi Rush by now, a surprise stealth launch by Tango Gameworks that took the action world by storm back in January 2023. Its primary gimmick of rhythm-infused combat alongside an endearing cast and distinct setting made it a one-of-a-kind adventure that has retained its staying power with free updates and now an unprecedented port to PlayStation consoles. Having not had the opportunity to experience this modern gem yet, I figured it'd be worthwhile to do so and see how this PlayStation 5 port performed. Thankfully, it thrives with flying colors, resulting in an incomparably addictive experience I only wish I could have enjoyed sooner.
Together we create better lives.
And now, the CEO of Vandalay Technology, Kale Vandalay!
What a historic day. You're the best of the best.
Throughout Hi-Fi Rush, you control Chai, a cocky youth seeking to become a rock star before becoming a hunted defect by the authorities of Vandalay Technologies, effectively a national superpower. His status as a defect initiates when his music player becomes part of his body after a ruined operation to receive a mechanical arm. This arm then gains the capability of encompassing itself with scattered materials, forming a makeshift guitar sword for battle. What begins as a somewhat desperate escape from those societally eclipsing him becomes a rousing group endeavor to halt the company's assuredly corrupt ambitions once and for all. The premise here, and the entirety of the plot really, are mainly obligatory justifications for pushing events forward, as evidenced by the relentless pacing. While action games of this nature are usually quite brief, Hi-Fi Rush's focus on comedic banter and visual flair make the speed of it all increasingly evident. Still, after less than a few hours, you'll understand that the heart of this experience is the masterful action combat coupled with the lovable character dynamics. Hi-Fi Rush's combat is literally instilled with rhythm, where your combos follow the beat of each stage's respective songs. This beat also impacts the timing of enemy attacks, environmental hazards, and your general movement, fundamentally providing each area with its own musical and gameplay identity. Thankfully, following the beat is made accessible thanks to a meter at the bottom of the screen that can be toggled, showcasing the arrival of every individual beat. It's vital to note that Chai's attacks always follow the beat regardless of your timed inputs, but actually following through on the specific timings for each attack with the song's beats will provide stronger strikes and greater scoring. This design choice makes the experience intrinsically approachable for both the less musically inclined and action beginners, while demonstrating a high skill ceiling that can be pursued throughout the more challenging difficulty levels. One of my most significant concerns with Hi-Fi Rush was whether you needed to love the soundtrack to fall in love with the combat due to how linked they are. In all honesty, none of the songs in Hi-Fi Rush fit my tastes, including both the licensed tracks and original compositions. However, I rarely felt my distaste impact my enjoyment of the gameplay proper, since being cognizant of the current song's beat took far more precedence over how I thought about the music. I wouldn't exactly call it supplemental since it's crucial to the combat, but as long as you don't loathe the tracks they use, you'll be able to set apart objectivity from personal likes internally. Of course, like any terrific action game, Hi-Fi Rush has a slew of unlockable skills bought via in-game currency that either passively or manually add to your moveset. These are all self-explanatory with evident benefits like being crafted for one-on-one or group encounters in ways far more welcoming than your Devil May Cries and such. Chai only has one weapon, but partner skills satiate any potential cravings for diversity. The allies Chai makes throughout this corporation-busting journey can all be summoned into battle individually, each boasting transparent boons for select enemy types and layouts. Further, they have abilities that can be used for environmental puzzles. For instance, Chai's first ally, Peppermint, uses a gun that is ideal for airborne enemies and juggling, and she can activate distance switches. On the other hand, your final ally uses Wind to stun inflamed and larger foes, while also putting out flames that block select paths. This clever, continuous combat variety makes Hi-Fi Rush a masterfully addictive practice that feels endless in its achieved satisfaction. The excellently designed enemy telegraphs and the emphasized parry system add layers upon layers that mesh fantastically. Once you get into the groove of Hi-Fi Rush, you'll never want to back out. Yet another area where this rhythm extravaganza excels is its exploration and stage layouts. While the game only houses 12 stages, each is vast and full of appreciated depth with collectibles and currency. Plus, replay replayability is encouraged healthily more than other action games, thanks to incorporating partner abilities that open up specific paths. Even the first stages have areas meant to be approached later, displaying faith in the overall design. The post-game is brimming with content as well. Alongside the base game's rhythm tower mode, comprised of ceaseless combat encounters in one collective attempt, the post-launch arcade mode is also present. Notably, after beating the game once, an arcade cabinet gets added to the hub, adding 2 new playable variations. The first, BPM Rush, is basically a turbo mode that heightens the beats per minute to staggering speeds, while the second, Power Up Tower Up, has a roguelite structure, where Chai begins depowered and you find upgrades as you climb. You'll have no shortage of content here to peruse and master if you want to seek out all this deceptive Goliath of a game has to offer. If there's one major critique I have, I wish you could turn off all dialogue, tutorials, and scenes during stage replays, since they can all become somewhat grating when attempting S ranks. Granted, some occasions are skippable, but not all, and the set pieces all remain, making replays more of a time sink than necessary. Amidst all these positives, even more shine through, including the apparent strengths of the presentation that never overdoes itself. The cast and varied environments are vivid and exude a vibrancy that perfectly complements the narrative's uplifting tone. While the story has its share of dismal events that heighten character motivations, they're never over-encompassing to the point where the emotional core is altered. Each main member of the cast jokes around either purposefully or unintentionally, yet when it's time for some genuine, heartfelt exchanges, they treat each other with respect. In hindsight, the writing of Hi-Fi-Rush knows how to attract players and make them care, while not always taking itself gravely, an impressive feat that requires a delicate and constant balancing act. Lastly, it's no exaggeration to say that despite greeting the PlayStation 5 over a year after its initial release, Hi-Fi-Rush feels at home here, primarily thanks to the DualSense controller. This carryover functionality from the PC version of the title provides haptic feedback and adaptive trigger support that, when coupled with timed rhythmic attacks, instills indescribable levels of immersion. Moreover, the controller's speaker is utilized for various sound cues, including picking up upgrades discovered throughout stages, a minor and appreciated touch of polish. Knowing how to deliver an action experience that sets itself apart from contemporaries while simultaneously appealing to genre veterans and newcomers is a strenuous, rarely accomplished feat. But Hi-Fi-Rush achieves all of the above with elegance and confidence. Even though the rhythm-infused gameplay is a double-edged sword that can make the later difficulty levels significantly less challenging, every gameplay-related strive is just really damn fun. From a succinct story that expertly sells you on a haphazardly formed group of heroes to vast waves of addictive replayability, Hi-Fi-Rush deserves to be played by everyone, and this port has enhanced that accessibility even more. If you were like me and never had the opportunity to try out Hi-Fi-Rush before, do yourself a favor. Regardless of your history with action games, I promise you won't regret it. Noisy Pixel is giving Hi-Fi-Rush for PlayStation 5 a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all of our future content.
Noisy Pixel.